I have another random day off, so I think I'm going to work on a project and clean the garage out a bit to improve the shop. I have business to attend to first. It's very important. Pup cup. It's been a while. It's in time for another mail call. The mail ferry brought something. Now, the other day, our friend Haji for Lego DEI put out a message that he had updated his receiver setup for Heng Long apples. So this is the version 4 of his apple setup. I like this wrapping. Make a camouflage net out of it or something. So, this is for a Heng Long System 7, I believe. This is his integrated apple with the hat, and he also made a variable length column here so you can plug it into your tank. This is supposed to make your Heng Longs fight with the Tamiya setup. Here's your base. There's your pins. It even says Heng Long inside. This is a blue light one. I've been doing it where all my Heng Longs are blue. That's just me. And this came apart like that. This goes back in like that. This will probably go on my M45. I'm gonna do a straight up conversion pretty soon. Reasonable sun protection. Five pins to wire up your system. A 2-pin and a 3-pin. The hat's integrated. It's not one nice assembly. That looks impressive. Nice job, Haji. Coming to a tank near you. I don't often question people who think they know their job, but he's trying to do a survey in traffic. It seems a little extreme to me. All right, the puppy's back at the house. Once again, I'm on the way to one of those, home stores. We'll get to the fun stuff in a minute. Today, I'm gonna work on a new tank, and we're gonna make something that I've never made. One of the advantages of my neighborhood is I have a Home Depot here, and the Lowe's is right over there. I typically go to Lowe's first because personal choice. The third part that's cool is on the way right in between both stores is Hobby Action down here in Chandler, Arizona. It's the giant indoor RC track. They're my source of batteries lately. So, not today, but soon. Let me tell you what makes a RC tank run. Batteries. What I'm gonna do is an M45. I'm gonna take the Pershing derivative with the 105 howitzer and make it a Korean War vintage one to be a sort of companion to my Korean War EZ8. The reason I'm doing it is a lot of people have asked about heavy tanks with short barrels. So obviously you've got KVs. Just ask Amy about the effectiveness of those. And a few other tanks like the Jumbo with the 75. And the question was, how many tanks can you get that are heavy with the short barrel for city combat? We are here. Of course, I'm here because of the sale. Well, most of the day has gone by and I haven't gotten a chance to even look at my M45 project yet. So here we are, we're gonna get started. It's nice they come with the lithium-ion batteries now. Snow leopard. Now, one of the things that was complaint was the gun tube was too short on a lot of these. They've improved it over the years, but ironically, in this case, even if I had a short gun tube one, I'd be whacking it. All right, it's morning. We started to talk about this last night, and once again, we're going to do a little bit of tank explaining. This is a Heng Long Pershing M26. It's very closely related to the Tamiya T26E3. And here's the difference. When a vehicle was introduced into at least the testing phases, it was usually given a T number. By the time we got to the T26, the first T26 E1, the pilot vehicle, you've seen it before. It's a little bit different. It has a loader's hatch that's split, kind of like earlier Sherman's. It has the 90mm gun and the various features on it, updated from the T23. Now, like the Sherman tank, what they did is they came out with a 90mm gun tank, and then they also said, well, what if we need a field howitzer assault gun infantry support variant? Well, they also came out with the T26E2, and that variant replaced the turret with the 105mm howitzer, same cannon from the Sherman, slightly revised turret, slightly revised mantlet. For our purposes, that is a Heng Long 105 barrel in the mantlet. So you see, I already dabbled with this before. Now, the T26E3 was an updated version, which you see here, which is also what eventually did get deployed in Operation Zebra at the end of the war. And the tanks that you see in a Fireball, for example, those were T26E3s. My little project is I'm going to take a bone stock. This is basically a plastic M26. I'm going to swap turrets, and I'm going to do the exhaust upgrade, because one of the interesting things about the M45 is when they built it and retrofitted it later, they added a different exhaust system. Just like the Sherman had a 105 variant, the Pershing did too. I've had a few of these. This is the new version of their battery. We'll keep track of that. Heng Long has steadily improved over the years. Their parts have become more and more useful. I keep things like this charger because sometimes to make an older battery come back to life, you need to cheat. Filming outside right now because the 3D printer is clattering, the fans are clattering, and it's kind of noisy in my garage. So I come outside. I got helicopters, I got cars, I got landscapers. That's why I'm going to have to start using those new mics. I'm going to give these a try today. These are the DJI mics. You've seen them. I got one in my hand. Alright, we'll see if that works. The mic is plugged in. Good thing I remembered what time the sprinklers go off. Almost got a chance to test its underwater capabilities. Pershing. This is a 7.0 version. Objective reading here. That's actually a good reference, and I'll probably keep that for the duration. Bullets in the loader's hatch, which is appropriate. Infrared goes in the cupola. I actually like this setup. It's kind of clever. This is their teeny tiny Apple magnet. Click, clack. Makes it omnidirectional, I guess. I've never used it before, and obviously the complaint is this thing doesn't have a lot of deflection. It's funny, I could take even something as simple as that, cut holes in it, and improve it. So I'm going to go over the basic setup. The controls in this one have a little more functionality. The motors do have a bit of, the old days it was on or off. Now there's 3 stages like the Tamiya tanks do. I love the note. Heng Long infrared battle system can battle in the same field with Tamiya. So we'll give that a test in a little bit. I'm actually going to cut this off. I want to figure out how to screw it in so I can mount this on top of the tank. Hopefully it's enough. Remember with Heng Long tanks, they provide a battery box standard. Most of us remove it. Some of us keep it, depending on the mood. This one will probably keep it because it's less work and it's structural. All right, there's a battery in here. It's got power because the lights are on. Now it's time to do a little driving and field test. I brought two tanks. I brought a Tamiya based conversion and the Pershing out here to give it a drive around the park. This is the little common space in my HOA. I'm gonna set it up and see if this thing can shoot in the shade and then in the daylight. Randomly, I ran into a neighbor who was like, "What's that?" So I said, "Let me show you." I said, "They fight." Perfect to test. There's actually another Heng Long derivative here with the Tamiya guts. We'll see how it works. So much for out-of-the-box compatibility. This guy is not shooting. Neither is this guy. But I will work on it. Test one did not work. Out of the box, plugged it in. I thought I knew what I was doing. They did not fight each other. So I'm going to do some tests on the bench. And of course, the updates that I have purchased for said tank were intended for 7.0, specifically Haji's Apple. So I'm going to put this in here, get this running, do the turret swap, and then perhaps my Crusader will get a 7.1. I have put the 7.0 stuff back. I'm now going to add Haji's Apple, purely for testing. And I'm going to follow the instructions that were sent to me. I had these pictures before, but it's nice to have them reinforced from good old Kenny. According to the wiring for Haji's Apple, this goes into LED 2 port, which would be that one. And this cord places the little toy apple. And this goes into CN16. All right, that is the tacit arrangement. This is the old one. gonna have to unsnake all that. And there's Haji's apple. This is the replacement emitter. This goes into CN15. So now we're at the point to take this apart and swap out my cannons. The real work in this is this. Well, that's a little bit of an explainer. No battle system. Broken wire. This is one of the reasons why a lot of us older salts automatically tear these things down to see how they work. It's good, you're coming out anyway. Where I extract this bad emitter. So the bad emitter has been expunged. The new emitter is introduced to the kill chain here. Now, obviously that's a little pronounced. We're going to work on that because that's too far. Now, if you look at the pictures, there's two things I got to work on. On the mantlet, it only seems to be about that wide on the M45 one. And there's actually a tube related to the sight or the coax over here. So we will work on that next. Now, to add the new receiver, I'm gonna have to make room under the elevation unit. So we're going to borrow this for a minute. This is the receiver base for the little toy one. It's also been extracted. This guy is going to become part of this. So, do a little math. It's now kind of an octagon. Haji's new system allows you to make some choices in here. How your height and your width. Small mod, I took the bottom rung off of the apple stand and I put it on the outside as a spacer, and now it fits deliciously. I have another secret project developing on the old printer over here. We'll get to that. Can you guess? We'll get to that soon. We've now gotten to the point of the year where air conditioning is all the time in this car. So from now on, we're going to see if I can overcome the standard air conditioner hum in all of my videos. I love this tree with the giant palms on it. It makes me feel like I'm in Beverly Hills. It's a cool park. Took a really cool picture here, babe. Midway through the M45 project. I just had to drop the kid off at Irish Dance. I'm on the way to a store that I referenced earlier. I need 2 batteries because I threw away about 6. I was actually happy. I used the little cheap trickle charger that came with the Heng Long tank to revive 2 LiPo batteries that were trying to tell me they were at the cutoff. This place is pretty big. One of the cool things, I met the owner a couple years ago, and one of his personal favorite hobbies is tanks. Though I've never managed to get him into an event because it's always busy.
I mean, I'm up there and I kind of laughing the whole time, but it's sometimes it's the noise. You block out the noise and block your car and come back.
That'd be cool. They do sell some plastic, mostly cars and Gundam. It's the first time I've seen a plane here. Neat. Oh, that's a Gundam. Oh, it's the first unillustrated thing. I might get that. Arizona, of course. And this is new. Tamiya tanks. They also sell a lot of this stuff, which is what my compatriots have been using to do some of their custom work. I'm now actually recording in an audio booth. Let's see how this sounds on my phone. So today I stopped by the Hobby Action track, as I showed you, and it was a very interesting experience. I happened upon the Western World's Oval Championship race, and there were people from Milwaukee, Texas, Colorado. They came to do various forms of kart racing. Apparently there's over 9 classes of this, and I'm not aware of the concept, but it is a nationally recognized race, and I just happened upon it while buying batteries. And Hobby Action actually ran into the owner and was talking to him about it, and he still won't sell me the purging, but we'll talk about that later. Over 200 drivers from several states all over the region came to participate. Each race is about 25 laps, and you'll notice they have a dirt track, and underneath the start-stop line is a sensor. There's a transponder in each car, and that's how they figure it out. They start with a moving start, give each other about a lap, and then it's the fastest 25 laps. These cars are amazing. People are amazing. They talk to me about it at length. So the 2 hours in between drop off and pickup from Irish Dance ended up being a kart race moment that was fun to watch. So enjoy some of the video. We'll talk about it on the other side. I honestly don't know enough about this. Talk about rabbit holes. They were showing me their tricks with their rapid chargers. These guys are charging LiPos at 30 amps. I was astounded. One of the races I watched, apparently some guy who's nationally known as being one of the best at it was there. And the guy that I was standing next to, his son was racing, and he felt really good about being number 2 to the nationally ranked guy until the nationally ranked guy ran square into another car that had flipped over sideways on the track, and it was just, this is a spectacle. The interesting thing he said about this one race is, I could never do this because I need to blink. And I thought, wow, and then I watched it, and you're right. I was like this the entire time. I cannot imagine driving all these cool vehicles. I mean, they're set up so they drive left. They have, they use slick tires. I thought that was interesting on the dirt, but yeah, apparently if you use treaded tires on that surface, it just, they dig in, they flip. It's quite the spectacle. Anyway, so, random content opportunity. Thanks for watching. Now back to business.
What will I get today?
I just saw that and watched that. That was intense. Talked to the owner. That stuff is crazy. He still won't sell me his Pershing. But I got my batteries, 2 nickel metals with Deans already attached. A few extra Deans plugs. I'm on the way back to pick up the kid from dance. And then I gotta go to work, so. And it is another day. So that's the line that's approximate to my photo evidence where I need to shorten this. I happened upon the Western World Oval Race. The only problem with these gun tubes is they have this ring on the bottom that's meant to fit the specific mallet, but the real ones are a little smoother, so use a file and chuck it. I'm going to try to mill it down a little bit. Now, with all these changes, the gun tube sticks out a little bit much from the actual mechanism. So I'm going to cut off about that much from here. Next, emitter tube. On the pictures I see, they have a cylinder coming out, more of a sun shield. So that'll help me do the correct standoff with the emitter. We've been to this party before, that fits in there. Emitter in place, elevation back in place, Apple wires in place, nothing else surgically altered, so it should function as originally intended. Let's see if we click together. That is the foundation. Clean up, a little bit gluing. And there you essentially have an M45. Time to detail. Another small nuance that I realized in the photos, the actual mallet was a lot smoother. It didn't have the pronounced rib and the flare. So I am knocking it down with a file. Closer to M45. Button her back up. We're gonna reconnect some systems here to make sure that everything is working. That should be everybody from the original setup. Shooting, elevating, turning, driving. Once again, you got to pay close attention to the infrastructure of your vehicle. Once again, I have loose wires. All better. Now is the time to cut this, change that. I haven't decided yet. So endeth another strange plug. I'm gonna get rid of this plug and put it on one of my Deans. Soldering flux. Some of my good old-fashioned rosin core Radio Shack solder. Helping hands. First thing. I basically just dip those in there. Get them ready. This weller has been amazing. Let's test that power we just did. Boom. Now it's time for the details. We have a few minutes before work to do some detail parts. Start with the lifting eyes. There's a 4 on each sprue, which is duplicated. I know this one is the front. Leave number 9 is for the rear. Gotta be careful with this one because it's right on the seam line, so you have to be careful to glue it to the upper half. Those will come off a lot. Then we'll check the brains. 8 goes in the front, 9 goes in the rear, 7 goes on the side. These lifting hooks I'm going to do last because I always knock them off. As we circle toward the end of the detailing, I will say this version of the Heng Long Pershing has been updated quite a bit. The elevation of the turret has been replaced. The mechanism of the BB shooter has been updated. And several details around the turret have been improved compared to the previous releases. We can actually say we're experts at this because going back to Dave Jones and his Skeeter Hawk back in the very early days of the club, that tank ran forever on the most basic details. Now, I appreciate all the extra details they add for the options they add for stowage, and just to sort of try to really get the look of this tank. Although it really does bother me that they put so many holes in it. So, I mean, I'll put some of the stuff there, because I mean, a lot of the Korean War tanks, you just see a lot of ammo cans down the side. But the holes in the deck drive me crazy. So, the 50 cal in this tank is actually pretty well detailed. This is a relatively new, I think an updated version. I don't mind it. Use the liquid cement and it actually melts the plastic. Use the super glue, it just bonds the plastic. In this case, squish it down, get some weld action there. Another big difference in the M45 is the exhaust. So, normal Pershing exhaust has the central exhaust duct coming straight out. And in true efficiency, they put the travel lock for the cannon on each side. Well, most of that was deleted because it tended to crack this whole fairing. So, the M45, they actually decided to do a revised exhaust, and it had two compartments. It had a tube about that big that went here, and a secondary tube that went above it. From this angle, I got two pieces of aluminum tube here. So basically it looked like that. So I have to direct this down and then add these. Let's do some preliminary work and see how it goes. I stopped up the ends with some plastic sheet. I'm going to trim those. Some bosses on there for it to stand off with. I ain't worried about the cap. That's the rough look. I'll polish it up in a minute. I have to say that the latest generation Heng Longs are starting to really get comparative to the Tamiyas of old. And I say this because this Pershing has been modified. It has been retooled a little bit to add the better elevation. The proportional electronics that Heng Long puts out in 771, despite the fact that you're stuck with certain features, it's a serviceable vehicle now, and I'm actually proud to say that. This thing is pretty much done for under $200. I stand on my statement.